So in our last video we have seen how to create a custom table, and then we also have created interface view and projection view, or we can say consumption view. So in this video we will be seeing how to create the behavior definition for a business object. So we have completed this step and this step. Now we are on to the third step, where the behavior definition will be created for a business object. So before creating a behavior definition, let's see what exactly the business object is. So we are on this step. Okay, so we also have created a metadata extension file in our last video. So these 4 steps are completed. Now we are on the 5th step for defining the business object. So what exactly a business object is? So in ABAP RESTful application programming model, a business object can be a collection of tree nodes basically, or we can say collection of different nodes or entities, where each and every entity will represent one CDS view. So in our current example we have 2 different CDS views. One is an interface view and another is a consumption view or the projection view. Okay, so these 2 will be our entity nodes, and the table which we have created, for example, it's for a student records, right? So our student would be a business object. Okay, now there will always be one entity which will represent as a root. We have one entity which is either the interface view or the consumption view, right? So there will always be one entity which will represent as a root. So if you remember, we have defined a root keyword in our interface view as well as the consumption view. So this business object will have a behavior definition, and there can only be one behavior definition per entity. We created 2 different entities. One is the interface entity and another is consumption or the projection entities. Okay, so there will always be one-to-one relationship while we create a behavior definition. Okay, so this behavior definition, why exactly this created? So when you create this behavior definition, it allows you to have different operation for the business object. For example, in our case, a student, or you can say a sales order. So it can have create student record, update student record, delete student record, or perform some checks on the student records, right? So all of these will be your behavior definitions. So insert, delete, update, check, all those things. Okay, and then once we have all of these behavior definition, then we need to implement them as well. Okay, so business object then can have a behavior implementations. So it has the behavior definition and the behavior implementation. This is what the business object is. So for creating a business object, we just need to add a root keyword. It means we already have created our business object. Let's see. If we go to our interface view, so if you remember, we have added this root keyword here, and in the consumption view as well we have created a root view. So this is what represent our business object here. Okay, and then we also have created the metadata extension. So in this video we will be creating a behavior definition for the business object. Okay, so to create a behavior definition, we will create for both the entities, which is the one is the interface entity and another is a consumption view entity. Okay, so for doing that, right click on the interface view and then click on the behavior definition. Okay, so as I said, it will be one-to-one relationship. In this case, you are not allowed to change the name. It's a one-to-one relationship. Okay, behavior definition for entity view. Okay, and then we are doing a managed scenario. We have an unmanaged scenario as well. We might be seeing this option in our future coming videos. So in this video we will be seeing only the managed scenarios, which means the framework will take care of all of the insert, delete, update operation, basically CRUD operations. So the system will take care everything. We do not need to write any code for this. Although if you want to write a specific checks, determinations and all those things, which we will be doing in this series, so for that we will need to write some code, but for CRUD operations everything will be done by the framework itself if you select the manage implementation type. Okay, so click on next and finish. So now we are seeing here, this is what the template gets generated as soon as you create a behavior definition. So this is the new behavior definition which got created for this interface view. Okay, this has a couple of details which we will be going through. Now, so very first line says managed, which means the framework will take care of these operations. These are create, update and delete operations. Framework will take care of all of these operations. We no need to write a single line of code for these things. Okay, now the implementation in the class. So this is a standard class or auto generated class which will be created, which will have the implementation for these methods. So what system is saying here is, if you want to find the implementation for these methods, go and check inside this class. Okay, now this is the template line which got generated. So define a behavior for this. We have created a behavior definition for this, right? And then we can provide the alias for this, which we can give as student. Now the persistent table is which contains your details or your information, okay, for your business objects. So ZCIM RAP 5000, this is the same table name which is getting created here. Okay, so this is what the table, the starting point of our series. Okay, now the lock object we will be seeing in coming videos, then the authorization master, and then e tag. It is basically works along with the lock objects. So we are not seeing this thing in these recent videos, but in future coming videos we will be seeing in the same series. Okay, now what we need to do is, we have different fields available here. This is what our table look like. Okay, so this ID is a key field and we have made this as a auto generate field. So I do not want user to make any change into this field. So we will make it as a read only, and that can be done in your behavior definition here. So for doing that, so what field you want? I want to manage the numbering for, and it should be read only. Now which field it should affect? So I want to make an ID field as a read only field, and numbering should be managed by the framework. This is what the meaning of this line. So ID field would be your read only field, and whatever the numbering will be generated, the auto number, that would be managed by the framework. This is what this line says. Now there is another mapping needs to be done. So for example, if system is generating everything for you, creating, updating, deleting the records, but system still somehow wants to know which field or which information needs to be mapped onto which field. For example, we have these many fields, so system will do the create, then system needs to know where the first name needs to be mapped, where the last name needs to be mapped, right? And the same goes for all of these fields as well. So for that we need to do certain mappings here, and that can be done for mapping for, and this will be your table name here. So I want to map the fields in this table, and we have various fields available. Let's copy all of these fields. Probably what should be the fastest way to copy? Okay, copy this and paste everything here, but we want to map these values onto these fields, so we need to interchange the position. Okay, now let me make the change quickly. Okay, so now we have changed all of the mappings here, and we are mapping each and every field whichever system is updating to our table columns. Basically that's what we are doing here. So now what we need to do is we need to, so this class does not exist. So if you see this option here, a small button, just click on this and create a behavior implementation class. Okay, double click on this, click on OK. Okay, so first, before doing the implementation, you need to activate, and activation is finished. Now you can create a behavior. So now it is creating a behavior implementation for the class, and click on next, provide the transport and finish. Okay, so now you see a implementation class has been generated, and that is available here in the source code library. So this is what the class is generated. Now click on activate, and it got activated. When you click on this option, so this is a default method which gets generated, get instance authorizations. This is the only method which got generated here. Okay, So we have created a implementation for behavior definition basically for one of the interface view. Now we have another view here, which is projection view or consumption view. Let's create a behavior definition for this as well. So right click and create a new behavior definition. Behavior definition for entity view. Click on next and finish. So the same kind of code is also generated for the consumption view as well. Let's comment out this one for now, and just like we did for the interface view, let's provide the alias name here as well. Okay, and nothing much needs to be done here, because everything whatever was needed, it's been done inside this interface view. Click on activate. So it got activated. Just activate it and we are done. So what we have done till now is, so we have defined the business object with the root keyword. Then we have created a behavior definition for interface view and a behavior definition for the consumption view or the projection view. Along with that, we have also created the implementation class where all the CRUD operations have been implemented, and we have also mapped the different fields. Now the next step is, this thing is done and this thing is done. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to create a service definition here. So what we will be doing in this is, we will be exposing our entities basically to get the data when we will be creating the service binding. So we will be creating a service definition now. So our next step is to create a service definition. For that, let's create a right click and go to business services and select the service definition here. Okay, now the service definition, we can provide a name. So Z expose underscore stud 5000 and service definition for student. Click on next and define service. Click on finish. So this is what the service definition looks like, and this is nothing but which entity you want to expose as a service. That's what we are doing currently. So our entity is ZC underscore stud and 5000. Okay, so this is what our entity is, and we want to expose this entity. If you have multiple entities you want to expose, just come here and add a new line here with expose keyword with the new entity. Okay, so you can have multiple entities exposed in the single line. You no need to create a multiple service definitions for that. Click on activate and it got activated. Now we have completed this step as well. Now we will be creating the service binding. So this one is done, this one is done, and then expose the consumption view. This is what we have done here. Okay, now we will be creating a service binding now. So for that we need to just right click on the service definition and create a service binding. So our service definition is, this is what our service definition is, and click on right click and create new service binding. Okay, so our new service binding would be GUI underscore STUD 5000. Okay, so service binding for student. And if you see here, the service definition is already updated here. The binding type. So now here we are focusing on building the Fiori app. So that would be a UI, and in this series we will be seeing the V2, but we will also create a V4 service binding. So for now, let's just create a V2 service binding for UI. Click on next and click on finish. So this is what our service binding looks like, but it is not published yet, and even it is not active yet. Okay, so it says to enable publish of local service endpoint, activate the service binding. So we will activate it. So now it is activated, and now you see a publish button is available. So what exactly we are doing here is the same thing which we do in the maintain service transaction in gateway, or odata.publish transaction in the CDS view. So click on the publish. Now this will take a while. Okay, so now our service has been published here, and this is the URL which got published. And let's see the preview, how our application look like. So you need to select this and click on preview. Okay, so this is how the application look like. We have all of the columns which are coming from metadata extension file, and we also have got the create button, delete button, and we have given some search criteria selection fields in our annotation. Click on go button. So we do not have any data, that's why no data found we are getting this message. Now to create a new record, which is everything is taken care by the framework. So click on this create button. Okay, so looks like we have missed something in the annotations. So let's go back to our annotations, our metadata extension file. So if we open our metadata extension file, we have all of the columns available here. We have the identification, but we haven't created any packet basically. That's why we are not seeing anything onto the object page. So we need to add some UI annotations here. So let's create it quickly. UI dot facet and inside. Okay, And if you want to learn about all of these annotations, I have another series, but it's a playlist, and we have created a Fiori application using all of these annotations, and everything has been, I will provide the link in the description for the reference. So now we have added this, and let's add some more annotations here for header. So @UI, and in the UI annotation, let's add header information. What are information we want to, so click on activate. It got activated, and now go back, close this, activate, and click on refresh. Okay, provide the ID and password, and our application is back. So now I click on create. So see, now our application is running, and we got all of our fields available here. Now let's add some details. So my name, my surname, and age, and course which I am getting admission for is computers. Course duration is 5 years. The status is blank now. The gender is M, and the date of birth is 5th of August, and click on create. Okay, so our object is now created, and go back. So this is what we have added, the ID field in the annotation in the header. If you want, you can add the first name and last name as well. Click on back and click on go. Here you go. So you got your first record created here using ABAP RESTful application programming model. And if you want to see the details, click on this and show the details, so other fields will also be available. Click on the line item, and the details would be available in the object page. Okay, you also have a delete button here, and you can add the delete, you have the delete button here as well. So let's select this row and click on delete. You want to delete? Yes, go ahead and delete, and the object was deleted here. Okay, so all of these things, insert, delete, and update. So create a new record, my name, my surname, computers, 4 year, and date of birth, and then create. So our record is created, and now if I want to edit this, select the record and click on the edit button. So you got the details, and let's try to change the duration to 5 years and check the status and click on save. Okay, so your changes has been saved. So duration is changed to 5 and status is now yes. Go back, and here you go, the information is already been updated. Click on show details, the status is showing yes. Okay, so that's all for now in this video, and in upcoming videos we will be making some more changes. We will be adding some more button here which would be custom buttons, and We will write some custom code as well. We will also see some determinations and all those concepts. Okay, so if you like the video, if you like the content, please consider sharing this channel, and please consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you.